was one. Only criminals wear tattoos. You know,
Right.
she comes from a time, right? And so people used to say the difference between people with tattoos and people without tattoos is people with tattoos don't care that you don't have a fucking tattoo. And meanwhile,
Right.
you're so concerned you want to judge them to be this or that because they do. Here we are fucking 30 years later. The girl in the deli has more tattoos than me. She's got Donald Duck and all this. Meanwhile, I can remember a time the police had a thing. They called it the teeth to tat ratio. If you had more tattoos than teeth, that means it's likely if we search you,
You
we're going to find you're up to no good. And in the 70s, there was something to that.
Mm-hmm.
There really was.
There was a meme that I posted not too long ago, and anybody that's familiar with everything that we're all familiar with, like Charlie and all that, you know, I thought that a lot of people would like it. Some did, but it was a picture of a biker, right? And it said there was a time where having tattoos and riding on a motorcycle with your hair slicked back meant that you were a badass and about something. Now it just means you can make them a nice souffle.
Now, isn't that fucking beautiful, Mike? There was a time in your country, meanwhile, that made you a criminal, someone not to be trusted and to look at suspiciously, and now it means what? They'll make a nice souffle.
Yeah, because you see chefs all tatted up and stuff, like 5-star
Right. And if you remember at one time when you had a job, you had to keep all tattoos covered.
Yes, exactly. Like
There
this
was a time.
one, I would have to wear a long sleeve shirt. Back in the day when I was in the California Conservation Courts, this had to be covered up no matter how hot it was outside.
Like there was a time in this country you couldn't be a policeman.
Right.
Hey, Mike.
You can't have tattoos below your sleeves and be a policeman.
Mike.
Now, everyone's got
Actually, the head chef will kick your ass if you're in the kitchen.
What is that?
Actually, the head chef of a kitchen will kick your fucking ass.
I mean, I worked as a junior.
Those guys are badasses. The guy that runs the kitchen when you work at a restaurant.
It depends, I guess, on where you're at. Because the chef I worked at, it was a 5-star restaurant. I was a junior sous chef under. He was Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico, and he didn't really care about tattoos that much.
But yeah, now see,
why would you?
Myself, when I was
sorry, Biz.
Go ahead, Malice.
I was gonna say, why would you? You can either do the job or you fucking can't. Whether you've got a tattoo or not, what is discrimination? What does the word mean to these people? I mean, fucking hell, I don't want to hire you because you have a tattoo. What? It's absurd.
I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, my parents would tell me if you saw somebody on a motorcycle with a tattoo to stay away from them because they were in a gang and they were no good.
That's right. That's right. That's how it worked here, Biz.
Right, and you were made to fear people that had tattoos and on motorcycles and shit like that.
In a free country, you were looking at people with tattoos riding a motorcycle like, oh, you bastard, what are you at? Does this make any sense to anyone?
No, but I was going to check this guy's out real quick. Some habits die hard, right? Like, can you guys make that out?
Yeah, that's Chef's Knives. I have a set of them.
Yeah. Some habits die hard, man. Like, I miss it sometimes, you know?
Yep.
Oh, chefs are the new rock stars in this country, mate. They are.
It used to be alternative if you had
a tattoo. Mike, how much do you
don't have any tattoos or alternative?
Right.
Mike, how much do you have in your set of knives? I know they're extremely expensive. Like I have I think maybe seven of them, and I paid over $800.
No. See, that's the difference. Like my chef taught me this. Like he went on and on about how your knife should be an extension of your arm, right? So I started my kid off with 2 knives, and I just bought each piece. That's why it's priceless to me, because each knife is bought individually, piece by piece.
But see, when I bought mine, I was in college and I was getting all this grant money and shit coming back to me.
Okay.
And my thoughts was, well, I can get these knives for pretty much for free.
Right.
I go to college and then they give me the extra money, and I'll just take the extra money and buy the knives here at the college.
That's awesome, because like even my basic, one of my basic chef knives cost me about like $14, for example, just by itself.
Oh yeah, when I bought these, I paid like $130 a piece for them. They're like rosewood handle and all that shit.
The nice ones, like, see, and I thought about that, like, in a restaurant, because my chef was like, yeah, because he spoke broken English, really, really nice knives. Make sure you sharpen them. Make sure you sharpen them. And the reason why I found out is, like he said, you get what you pay for. So my knives, I constantly got to keep sharp.
Right.
Talking about what Captain's talking about is like, well, my chef used, you're good to go as long as you wipe them down when you're done, and you don't put them in the dishwasher, because the dishwasher will destroy your fucking knives.
Yeah, my mom, man, I have to keep telling her, I'm like, Mom, when you use these damn knives, you wash it, dry it, put it away.
Right.
You don't leave it set in the fucking dishwasher or nothing like that, because of the rosewood handles, they'll start cracking. And she just fucking leaves them set there with all kinds of junk on them. And well, I make sure when she's done, I go out and do it myself.
Our local butcher that I go to sends his knives out to be sharpened. They don't do them in house.
Really?
Yeah.
My chef was a hard ass. Like this.
Yeah.
Like, when he walked into this kitchen, he was there because he won a contest, right? Now, this chef in particular proved to me that he actually knew, like, the Chopped Japanese guy, whatever that show was, I forget his name. Like, he knew Food Network people, and he sat on the Culinary Institute of America board. You know what I mean? And when he first walked into that kitchen, he threw all the powdered seasoning out the window. And this is like really tall skyscraper building. Like, not out the window, but he just threw it, like tossed it, you know what I mean, into the trash.
Yep.
And he took all the knives and tossed them into the trash. And he said, if you're working underneath me, you will learn how fresh ingredients will be infused to your food. You don't need this effing powder stuff. You will be a chef. And he meant it. Like, he rode your, like, this dude, like, towards the end when he started losing it because of all the pressure locally and everything, you know, and because of the dumbasses that kept getting hired. This dude took the pasta because somebody fucked up downstairs, one of the waitresses, on a gluten-free order, and I'm the cook in the back. So I'm the one. Back then, we didn't have an AC. They didn't have an AC there. I was there in the days whenever there was no AC, and it was just a little tiny room with all the fryers and the grill and everything. So I'm sitting here. He grabbed the pasta and just tossed it against the fucking wall, and went, "How fucking hard is it to cook al dente fucking noodles?" And just tossed it against the wall and marched outside of the restaurant. Like, yeah, I've seen him in good moods.
He sounds like fucking Ramsey Gordon.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened, fucking Bears. I think they've all seen that Gordon Ramsay act like a fucking pig, and they think I'm not a chef unless I act like a spoiled rock star as well. You know,
what it is there's two levels of cooking, okay? Like me, it turns out I want to open up my own place someday. But there's two levels of cooking. A chef, you are dedicated to your job. This man will teach you. It doesn't matter if you have a family. It doesn't matter what events you have.
Right.
Food and your event, and this comes first.
Yeah.
This is your life. You know what I mean? Like, I went to his catering events. Like, this is your life. Like, this is what you do. If you want
hey, Mike,
you better be dedicated.
Mike, do you do the cooking at the house, or you guys kind of split off, or what do you do?
I mean, it depends on the night. We split up, and it depends on my mood. There's 2 or 3 weeks at a time since I lost that job about 2 years ago, that off and on there'll be like 2 weeks where I don't want to cook, and then I'll start talking to her dad, because her dad is in Tennessee, and he's really well known out there, and just opened up or took over a place of management again, and he wants me to be his head cook, and I'll start talking to him, and then all of a sudden I'll get in the mood and I'll start cooking different things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then
my grandparents had a restaurant, but it was like a mom and pop.
Right.
What they did was, my grandmother had 6 kids, and they would make huge dinners, and they just kind of ran a carry out bar, like hillbilly food place. And the worker guys, after they worked on the railroad, there was a railroad repair station in that town. They would just come and they would just that would be the dinner that they made for the kids.
Yeah.
Mike, I have a question for you. I'm making beef jerky today. Like I've already marinated it and everything, and I want to make it in the oven. Would you put it over the oven racks and lay it over them, or just like dangle them down over the oven racks?
I've never touched beef jerky, so I wouldn't know.
I
Okay.
thought you need a dehydrator for that, Cap.
No, you
That's
can
what
do
I
it
was
in the
going to
oven.
say, 78.
Put it in the
I
oven.
knew a guy
No,
who
you
had a
have
dehydrator.
that, and
There's
I've
a,
known that you would do it. I would assume you wouldn't do it on the rack directly because of the indentation marks on it.
right,
That you would have to put it in there so long, and you don't want that to go through the meat.
right,
You want to put it
Well,
on.
this thing was like a clothesline. They'd hang it in this fucking
right.
a
That's
high
what I
point.
was. That's what I was thinking, Malice. Just hang it like over the rungs of each one of the things, and
Yeah.
then like down under it, put like a pan or something to catch the drippings.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're gonna. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, if you cook any type of meat over something too hot, and you're gonna to make beef jerky, you're gonna want it over too hot. And if you cook it over too hot, it has a potential because of the oils that it's going to produce to sink through the grooves and fall through.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the way that I've watched them online do it, and they said to put your oven at about 170 degrees for like 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, so that's
So then that basically becomes a dehydrator.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see, I could probably do something like that if I wanted to, because I actually have an old school oven that's falling apart right now. So I don't want to show it publicly, but it's a convention oven, and I'm sure you guys know what that is, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I do, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, confectioner's oven's like a small oven, right?
Mhm.
That sits on the counter.
No, it's not. That you could actually do multiple things with.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it was like a toaster oven.
No, it has the potential to be one on a massive scale. You know what I mean? Like, I could broil and I could do all kinds of different things on it if I wanted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a matter of if I really want to cook. Ultimately, when I lost that job, I put so much into it that I was so obsessed with cooking because Chef Jimmy was telling me, because of the fact that I was one of the people that naturally had to infuse the flavors, he was going to help me get the Culinary Institute. And I was dedicated to it at one point and so obsessed with it. My wife was considering divorcing me because I was putting so much into it.
Oh, Jesus.
You know,
Your wife's considering divorcing because
what
you're
I'm saying,
cooking.
but what I'm ultimately saying is, when I lost that gig, that destroyed me. And I've been cooking off and on since I was 16. You know what I mean? So cooking has always been my backup gig in between labor jobs or wherever else I was doing.
It's a very good choice, mate. Again, today, chefs are some of the best. They're celebrities in my country, mate. They're given TV shows. The majority of things
Right.
on TV are either cooking shows or renovating shows. I don't even watch
Now,
TV.
Mike, are you like me that you was like really never taught to be like a professional chef, but you know what to do in your head?
Yes.
That it just comes naturally to me when I cook.
It's
It's
like my wife hates it. Like, take last night, for example, before I called Mal, because I had a conversation with Mal after dinner and stuff. But before I called Mal, I got frustrated at some things just going over the news and stuff, you know? And after posting some stuff on my blog, because, you know, Captain, like, I post news articles and stuff, and I barely do commentary now. I just posted the news article, you know? And I got frustrated, and it was around 4 o'clock, 3:30, and I'm over here cooking like rice, red beans, grilling, getting ready to grill burger patties, and there's like chicken going and this going. There'd be like 3 different meals going when I get into these little moods, all at the same time. She's like, "It's not Thanksgiving, and you're over here just cooking like." She goes, "Look, you got all these vegetables on the side over here getting ready to go too, like, you know."
Good
like,
God, mate. She
how I
should be thanking her lucky stars. Women in this country, fucking hell, cooking's like being a magician or something. They just love you for it. They really do. I mean,
that's what you need to do, man. Just watch you some old school, like good old school cooking shows, like Ramsay's Instructor. Like, you know, people say Ramsay's one of the greatest, nicest people that I've researched. You want to know a real hard ass? Who Ramsey worked under.
I've heard of this guy. Yes.
The
Yeah.
the kitchen. Yes, Marco.
That's him. He was a judge on one of our fucking shows. And he's a great fat thing. And, all they do is fucking eat. And it
I
makes
watched. I watched that dude. Literally, one of the members of the royal family was in his restaurant complaining, and the waitress came back, and he's sitting here puffing on a cigarette on the food line, and the waitress came back and complaining. He goes, "You tell that fat cunt to get her fucking ass over here." And she walked over there, and she goes, "Do you know who I am?" He goes, "I don't fucking give a shit who the fuck you are. You get the bloody hell out of my fucking restaurant."
beautiful.
And I was like, that's who Ramsey works under. And you can see Gordon Ramsay, a young 20-something, 30-something-year-old Gordon Ramsay, when this is going on, just sitting here on the food line, just kind of hunched over like, oh, shit, and moving his ass along.
Yeah.
You work under somewhere like Marco Pierre White and tell me you're not going to be a little bit of an asshole on the line.
That's him, Marco Pierre White. The guy the guy he judged with on our cooking show has gone on to make a huge cunt of himself. He's gotten involved in lots of land schemes, and I forget his name, but I'll find it.
He died of a heroin overdose, from what I understand.
Who? Marco Pierre White?
Yeah.
I didn't know that he died.
Yeah, he died of that's the reason why Gordon Ramsay launched the investigation into drugs across all his restaurants, where he went in and did cotton swabs on the toilet seats and on the sinks in his restaurants around different people's break times.
Sorry, this isn't the guy I'm thinking of. I recognise him now.
He's the one I'm talking about.
Right. No, that's not the one I was thinking of, actually.
Have you ever watched Hell's Kitchen?
The original, what he started? Yeah.
Yeah. When he put the 2 pieces of bread over that woman's head and says, "Tell me I'm an idiot sandwich."
I have seen that. Yes, I have seen that.
He is just like, there's his work and won't admit it because of the way he was. Like, this man was smoking a cigarette, puffing and blow smoke in your face until you get the hell out of the spot. He don't care who you are. And that's the reason why Gordon Ramsay, for instance, one of his best chefs died of a drug overdose, and he went overseas to find out how cocaine was actually processed to the drug cartels himself. Put himself in to find out. And then he launched an investigation of his restaurant. Then the kid of the chef died, he hired as one of his head chefs at one of his new restaurants at the time. And he literally fired people because they were positive cocaine on the spot. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. You know what I mean? Like, there's a side
that people don't see. That's who I was confusing Marco Pierre White with, is this guy. And that one next to him is the Australian that's gone on to make a cunt of himself. Everyone hates him now. He's ripped people off for land. He sold them land, and he's done heaps of schemes. He's in all sorts of trouble. His books are being pulled from shelves. He's gone from being... When my mother was alive, mate, she'd watch My Kitchen Rules, and that guy in the middle there, he was a rock star in Australia for his cooking and that. If he turned up at your restaurant, you rolled out the red carpet for him and kissed his ass. And now he's the most hated person in Australia. He's robbed that many people, and his books are being pulled from shelves. He gives lots of video. He's been cancelled, essentially.
Essentially, cooking has gotten too fruitsy for me. Like, my style of cooking, like, I told my chef, and he disagreed with me naturally, but because of food costs, but I told him that I believe like one of the top, if you look at the top where I live at, number 3 restaurants, it's Egbert's, Papa Murphy's, or not Murphy's, Murphy's Steakhouse, Gravy Overall place. People in this town, what it shows is they like hearty food. So if I was him creating a new menu, I would have created it to where it's still plated like a 5-star way, but the same type. You could do like wholesome food, and see, everything's a perception. That's what I learned working underneath Chef Jimmy. Is how you present it. People will eat with their eyes in this level.
Absolutely.
Like shit, but because it's placed the right way, they love it. So I say you just plate regular food. Like I done it before. Like my red beans and rice, I plated it to where it's like a little pile of rice, and I took the strips of meat and I placed them a certain way, and I took the green peppers and all that and placed it a certain way in the center. Like
Art.
it's doable.
Yeah.
You
Or like art. You make it look appealing and many
It-
colors and that. Yeah, definitely. The thing that's always killed me with cooking is here, I'm going to spend half an hour cooking, and then I'll eat the shit within 5 minutes, and I've got fucking 20 minutes of cleaning up to do. It becomes redundant, you know. I'd rather it kills me,
you got
and
to
it's
cook.
not a good quality to have.
You got to
Right.
clean while you cook.
Yeah.
Now-
Yeah.
Now, are you like me, Mike? Instead of using like powdered garlic or something crazy, you'd rather use fresh?
Yeah, because the fresh ingredients. If I'm gonna try to do a dish,
Right.
if I'm at home, I'm gonna use whatever. You get what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
I'm gonna use whatever I got. But if I'm trying to impress somebody, if I'm doing a meal, yeah, everything's gonna be fresh. And the reason for that is you can do amazing things with food when it's fresh. Like
Well,
you could take basic canola oil and you could put fresh garlic cloves in it and fresh onion strips in it and a little bit of pepper and a little bit of sea salt or something in it. And you bake that oil and it takes on the flavor of whatever you put into it.
right.
So
Now,
you can do all kinds of things. It's just a matter of how much time you want to take into doing it.
now what I do a lot when I'm cooking is probably just use the jarred garlic,
Mhm.
and I just throw a couple teaspoons of that in
The fresh,
because it's pretty much the same to me. It's still
Yeah.
fresh garlic.
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like I've seen chefs coming to the Dollar Tree buy stuff, for instance. It's like I said, the ingredients are out there. You can find them at decent price. It's just how much effort you want to put it into it. I still got a jar up there of tahini to make hummus one day. I've had it up there for a year. I vowed I was going to do it, and I just haven't got around to ever doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
And
it's a real art. It's how much work you put into it, and if you care, it is. And cooking's really taken off. I kid you not. In this country, they are the equivalent of rock stars. People
Right.
love the. Can I thank the chef? Can I meet the chef? Here, tip the chef. They love them, mate. Chef, the cooking thing has just escalated to such a big deal in the last 15 years.
it's because, like you said, it's what you put into it. And there's a difference. There's a difference in real chefs and real cooks and basic cooks.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Like to me, I'm a real cook. Like I could work underneath a chef. It's stressful. I would rather make my own chef. Do you know what I mean?
right. Exactly. And I'm the same way because the reason that I'm so good at cooking is because I enjoy it and put my all into it and my heart into it. And
Exactly. Exactly. Like I got recipes over here. I sent Ann, like we all know Ann, right? I sent Ann
Patty.
some recipes. Whenever the chef took over, the food that was really good, I consider some of it really good that he didn't like. All the
Yep.
recipes one day, me and him were going through stuff. He said, Mike, you want all of the old recipes? Yeah, I'll take them. And like just the first one right here is artichoke pasta sauce from scratch. Like there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. It's just how much time you want to do it.
right.
You know what I mean?
It's a
So
lot of shopping.
it is. It really is. Like I tell my wife all the time, one of the dishes I want to do right now is New Orleans pasta. I've been craving it, but it's such a big dish and nobody in my house likes it except for me because just the meats alone, Mal, is shrimp, chicken, pork sausage. You know what I mean? For example,
Yep.
that's your main meats, and then you do your sauce from scratch, which is Alfredo sauce, and then you add in your spices to the sauce, which will turn it a pinkish red sauce. You know what I mean? And then you got to add that into it, and then you add in all your veggies to it, which is red pepper, yellow pepper, green pepper, and so on. You know what I mean? Then you start adding in your sauce bases on top of your other seasonings, and you slow cook it, and it ends up filling up a big ass like holiday pot sized dish.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now, are you like me, Mike, when somebody says that when you give somebody a dish of food and they say, "Oh my God, this is so good," it makes you swell up with pride, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
That's very evident. I mean, forever it's been. You turn to the lady who cooked the food and say, "Oh, this is nice." Oh, thank you. I'm here. Have some more. Do you want to take some home with you? They've always been that. They love it. Yeah.
Hey, Malice.
It's a
Yes.
curse.
Malice.
Yes, what?
Did you ever make any of your mom's dishes?
I've tried. My mum. Some of the things my mum. Sausage rolls, we call them. I don't know. That's more an English thing. What we call sausage rolls.
Right.
She used to make them. I can't do it as well as she does. My brother's stepped up as the cook. He's very good at replicating. In fact, I hope my mother. I'm glad she can't hear me, but I think his sausage rolls are nearly better. He's really learnt from her. But I think it's your mum's cooking that you just grow up with it for so many years that you tend to miss it when it's not around anymore. Even my ex-girlfriend, the way she cooked things, she wasn't gone too long before I wanted to invite her back just to cook for the night. You know, you get used to someone's cooking, I think. And it was funny.
It's like there's an old saying, Sydney, and me and her she's another example out there. Me and her disagree politically completely on almost everything, right?
Yeah.
But you put us into a kitchen at one time and we could cook good together. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she used to be the right underneath the chef. And at one time she was the head chef. I worked underneath her before Jimmy got there. You know what I mean? And she was from Georgia. She told me one time, she goes, unless you put your love into the dish,
right,
it's not going to be good. I firmly believe she's right. She's the one that taught me how to do fried chicken.
Now that's the thing. My mum would prop herself up there. In fact, I walked into the supermarket the other week, and this smell just hit me. They just finished making shortbreads. My mum used to make shortbreads too, and I walked in, and the smell was just like a punch in the face. So I brought these shortbreads. And when I walked in, Tama, my dog, she recognised the smell because she used to sit next to me, Mum, and the smell of shortbreads in the house, it smells beautiful, you know.
Right.
And as soon as I walked in the door, she ran up to me like, I know what you've got. I haven't smelt that in a while. Give me some, you know. But she remembered. It was written all over her face. I know what you've got, and I want some.
I think that cooking could be a solution to a lot of problems out there. You know what I mean? Because food, if you think about it, is the center of every culture. It doesn't matter. That's the thing I love about learning about world culture and culinary. Whenever I was actually watching, Captain, about this, where you're staying up to impress your chef. I had to make my own recipes in the morning time out of the ingredients I had. So I would stay up the night before, and I would have to open up at like 4:00 in the morning. And I would stay up the whole night looking for recipes online, watching old school, like actual culinary instructional videos and stuff.
right.
And because of the ingredients, I would look at foreign places a lot. And the thing you start realizing is no matter where you go in the globe, whether it be Australia, no matter whether it be America, whether it be Pakistan, no matter where you go,
they have their dishes, yeah.
And people like to eat. And wherever they eat at, that is the center of life. That is where people are happy. You see laughter. People are talking.
You say that, Mike, because here, my dad was born in 45. I was born in 74. And I remember saying to me, Dad, once, I said, when I went to school, there was like one Asian kid in the whole school. The number one ethnicity besides Australian were Italians. And he said, hey, when I was a kid, there were no pizza shops. There was no lasagna. And then once the Italians came here, maybe part of the reason they assimilated in so well is everybody loved their food.
Dude, they got there. What happened was they got there and they said, you see this? We're going to get on this.
Well, they did get accepted. And I'm just trying to imagine no pizza shops. I mean, no, you'd love them for bringing pizza to your country, wouldn't you?
It is like, it's a struggle. Like me and my wife, because we have a bakery from home. Well, she has a bakery and I help out. You know what I mean? Yep. But like we look at places all the time to rent, and it's skyrocket high for commercial property right now. And there's so much competitiveness. Everybody's doing it around us. So we're looking at different locations, like from Tulsa all the way out, and it's just the economy and the way everything's set up. It's difficult right now. But
yeah, Now, Malice, did you know that Italians didn't invent pizza?
That's
yes,
true.
I have heard that. Yeah, it's an American thing, right?
No, no, Roman Jews.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah, it's traced back to the Roman Jews.
It's kind of like uh, the fortune cookie was actually invented by an Los Angeles Chinese born or American Chinese born Los Angeles guy.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
But honestly, when you think of pizza, Italian people is the first people you think of with pizza.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
Spalding, all the pizza boxes have an Italian guy with his big mustache and stuff.
Yep.
They do. They sell it to you as an Italian thing.
I mean,
Definitely.
yeah, I agree. I mean, when you really look at it, that's culture, is it not? But yet, we're living in a time period. Spalding, you could back me up on this, I'm sure, but we're living in a time period where if you're in the right city, they're going to scream at you for culture appropriation for what you're serving at your restaurant.
Well,
Right.
hey, I was just that you just rung a bell there, mate. Why not? Well, I don't know why
Right.
we're not screaming at Beyonce for a cultural appropriation while she wears that wig and some other nationality's fucking hair in her hair. Meanwhile, if I wear if I get dreadlocks, I'm a cultural appropriator, and yet it's all right for her. I just
Now,
don't get.
It
see,
really, it really boils down to this. Like, I've heard somebody, I'm not going to say her name out of respect because I'm public right now. I worked under one time. And she had that chip on her shoulder and was part of the radical Panther ideology. And her husband was a revolutionary and all this, you know. Everything was all the predicate of CRT, a lot of it that you've seen. And
We lost 78.
One time. She tried to tell me at one time, this is like 3 or 4 years ago, how all culture was started in Africa. Right?
Yeah.
Food, music, we were working, and everything was started from Africa, right? And if it wasn't for them, we would all be burning up in the sun. I was like, where the hell did you pull this out of? I'm like, there was a time period where people had their own foods and their own culture before anybody even like started communicating together. This is pure nonsense.
right.
You know what I mean? You cannot claim rights to everything on the globe.
Mike, that's the part that baffles me, mate. We all like Chinese. We all like other countries' foods and that. You know, everyone does. Like you
Isn't
like
that
it.
the point of living? I thought that was growing up. See, I grew up in a time period where we embraced unity. Like, I've always had a thing like this. Let me put it like this. I've only dated in a serious long-term relationship 3 white girls. Everybody, my wife right now, who is black herself, is the first American girl I've been with.
Yep.
In years. You get what I'm saying? Everybody was from a different culture or different countries, love different cultures. So I thought the goal of life was learning about different cultures and mingling and trying them out and embracing them and learning, not fighting over it.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, fuck, where would
I
we
mean,
be?
you guys know who Guy Fieri is, right?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people.
I don't know who that is.
He does the show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives on the Food Network.
Oh, I don't know that.
No. He's the one that did Flavor Town.
He's got the spiky hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just put a restaurant in here, and not 6 months after they opened it, workers were out in the parking lot protesting because he was paying the white people more than he was black people for the same work, for like the same education level with the work.
Is it based on fact or is it based on speculation, Cap?
That I don't know. I just read in the newspaper that they were out there protesting.
And
And
so
now
that's
my cat.
That's the thing, though, Cap. Is let me put it like this: when I was living in Tulsa the first time, when I about 6 years ago, I was working as training underneath a shift manager in training. Okay. And there was a girl there that went by Chris. She was a dyke, and she literally carried herself like a guy. Had shaved head, tattoos on her face, and everything. Right? She went to prison for attempted manslaughter. I used to buy weed from her.
Lovely. Yep.
And one night we got into it because the little old lady that was the manager didn't want to have conflict with her, and she just kept eating in the lobby instead of helping us close. Right? She was hired as a dishwasher. So I went up to her and I was like, "Yo, Chris, you think you can like start doing dishes and cleaning up the cut table?" Because she's a cut table / dish table employee.
Oh, how
No,
dare
that's
you
because
not?
I'm fucking black. That's because I'm fucking black. I was like, no, it's because you're hired as a fucking dishwasher, as a cut table person, and we're trying to get the hell up out of here. I said, but if you want to have a problem with that, we could step outside and have a little talk about it. I said, the thing you went to prison for was attempted manslaughter, and the key word is attempted. And the next day I came to work, and I couldn't figure out why, but I got fired for being a disgruntled manager.
Oh, you bully, you. Yeah. An attempted murderer. You asked her to do her job, you bastard. I mean, it's unbelievable.
You get what I'm saying?
Fucking
Like,
really.
so this stuff that's been going on lately, guys, that's why you see me react the way I did and the way I am now. It's nothing new to me. I grew up in California. Immigration protest was the norm when I was in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I lived in Northern California at that. You get what I'm saying? I used to go to protests. There were some I was pro on one side, and there were some I was pro against.
Yeah.
On the other side. It was an everyday thing in California. So none of this stuff that they're screaming about right now is new to me. And that's why you see me post the stuff I do. Like, oh, yeah, sure, new. Where you been? Underneath a rock?
Mm.
You know what I mean? I got fired once at Applebee's because that's the only place in California that's an at-will employee. Because, quote unquote, the whole crew was Mexican and I was a expo, meaning I had to get the dishes out. And quote unquote, for pushing the employees too hard when the manager was yelling at me to get the dishes out there faster. And then I come in, and I shit you not, I was replaced by his cousin. So you tell me what this shit is about.
Yeah,
I was told
really?
once I have state of California landscaping and emergency response training in the California Conservation Corps. I go up to a landscaping crew in Sacramento one day when they were doing work and asked the foreman, "Do you think I could get on a grunt spot on your squad?" And he said no. Literally what he told me is no, because you're going to want more money than these other guys will. Have a good day. I was told once at DHS in Sacramento, California, Del Paso Heights, when I saw somebody pull up in an Escalade with TVs. Dude had a grill. Woman was getting food stamps and other assistance. The guy was getting his own assistance. Yet, I lost 2 jobs. Yeah, I can't get approved. And I asked a lady who's African American herself, I said, "Can I ask you a question? Why is it that they're getting approved, but you're telling me I can't get approved?" Right? And she goes, do you promise you will not get mad at me? And I said, "I promise I won't get mad at you." She goes, "Because the system's not perfect, and a lot of times they know people in it." That was in 2007. None of this stuff is new to me that they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember getting assistance in Del Paso Heights, which is a predominantly black neighborhood, when Obama was running, listening to him go on and on about how he's the great hope. And me telling one of my homeboys, he don't give a fuck about you. He was raised in Hawaii and went to one of the most wealthiest white high schools in North America, rubbing elbows with all the world leaders now. His wife is the closest thing to hood there is from Chicago. He don't know shit about what we're going through right now. Those same people towards his second term was telling me, "Dude, you're right. He don't give a fuck about us. He's whitewashed, blah, 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 blah." Man, come on now.
Mm.
Do you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
you do
Do you ever hear when he's asked a question about that?
What's up?
He's asked a question. He said, "Why aren't you with your people? Why don't you represent your people better?" He goes, "I'm not an activist. I'm a politician."
Oh yeah, that's kind of like how he said, I can run my presidency with a pen," and that's why Biden quoted Obama whenever he became president. You know what I mean? Like I told you
Yeah.
last night, he just effectively wiped out everything Trump did, which brought it into the Obama administration, and then he started adding in everything that people wanted from whenever he was campaigning. And then basically they turned on everything that they said they were going to do in different ways. And they're only focused on the extreme stuff that people are protesting and going crazy in their districts over. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you damned if you do, damned if you don't. After this Afghanistan situation, it really made me realize that it really is back to the military-industrial complex. The fact that they can leave Americans stranded and still have excuses and not want to answer those questions and ignoring their spouses, like to me as an American, it makes me feel like, okay, so now we're back to the military-industrial complex. Now I'm back to my younger days of the / Rage Against the Machine. Like, screw you guys, all of you. You know what I mean?
Well, mate, I'll tell you just as a look. I'm on the other side of the world. I'm 10,000 miles away. I never saw a T-shirt with the president's face printed on it until Obama come along. You would have thought he was king of the world. Well, you would have, just because when I used to catch the bus,
you got to give him recognition, Mal. Before you go any farther, you have to publicly give him recognition of one thing, because I will. He was the first African American president, and he got to give him props for that, because that opened up the door for everybody.
One thing I'm very, very big on is, if I'm going to congratulate you, if I'm going to, there's got to be some responsibility. It can't be just praise all the way.
No,
you know,
that's
they
I'll
have
give him.
both sides. And I didn't realise, my mum used to say, oh, isn't he a great guy? He just carries himself so well. I get he's a likeable dude. I get you'd be his friend if he was your neighbour. You'd rather have Obama live next door to you than Trump. I mean, he's a loudmouth lunatic. But who would you rather have run the fucking show? Clearly, after 4 years of Trump, I'd tell you Trump.
Well, I mean, honestly, what it is for me, and I know people have strong feelings about him, but what it is for me is he realistically did one thing well. He revert back everything to America. And Biden, as soon as the Democrats got control of both houses, is right back to military-industrial complex. It's right back to backdoor deals. It's right back to pushing extreme agendas. And now they're even allowing Americans to die.
So this billionaire fucking, he's a million miles away from us, had your interests more in mind, given his actions, bringing up American wages, making his energy independent, raising the black population, and he was hated for it. It makes you look at.
That's not why he was hated, though, Malice. He was hated because of his big fucking mouth.
Right.
I get that.
That's why he was hated.
No, I get that, Captain. And you know what? That's the reason why, unfortunately, Pence let me down. Because when I voted for both of them, the one thing I said from Jump Street is, right now, he's our best shot from the situation that we were in at the time. And I said, but granted, his mouth is going to get us caught up. And I hope Pence will step forward and be like, yo, Donald, I know what you're trying to say, but can you just say it like this and said it like this? You know what I mean?
But if you at all, and look, to some degree, I kind of understand. As arrogant as he is, he's been a success. He figures, no, we'll do it my way, you know, and I get it. But that tweeting, just like Beers said, if you could have just stopped behaving like a 16-year-old girl, tweeting fucking all the time. I mean, it's pretty childish. Fucking freaky.
Like, act like a politician instead of a celebrity is what he did. And honestly, because a lot of his ideas, dude, they weren't bad. It was just the way he presented them was like an asshole.
And again, Mike, I don't think he come along with a heap of great ideas. What he did is he got rid of a heap of silly regulations that were fucking us. He didn't invent something great. He said, that's a bad idea. Get rid of it.
Right. But he did it.
See, myself, Trump did things that were good and things that were bad, just like every other president. But in my opinion, Trump was no different than any other president that's ever been in office. He cared about one thing, and that was what was going to make him richer.
You're right. And that's what it's always been about. I mean, that's what I've come to a realization about working too, since I lost my last job is, you know, we're living in a culture that glorifies slave culture, if you think about it. And that's a strong word to say, I realize. And I'm using that for a reason. Because if you look at other models, and this is where some of the things that the liberals say I will agree with. Okay. If you look at other countries' models set up to where they make it possible for their people to be able to spend time with their family and still work, that's an amazing thing, because America is set up to where what makes the corporations richer, not what makes the person
now
richer.
you sound like someone that would have been a big fan of Hitler's.
No,
Because Hitler's thing was all about that. Playtime's just as important as work time. Okay, now we've got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get to work. But he had a real fucking thing.
Well, it's not Hitler I get it from. It's actually the Swedish model where I get it from. Because they've proven...
Where did they get it from?
I'm not sure where they got it from, but I do know that they've proven psychologically that it produces a happier workforce, and a happier workforce produces better results.
So the priority is we work to live, not live to work.
Bingo.
Right.
Very German. Very German.
I've said this for the last probably 10 years. There is no fucking middle class anymore. It's gone. It's not there. There used to be a time in the United States where you could work a regular job and still afford your own home. That's not possible anymore.
No, you're right.
No, it's true.
And it's like you work your fucking nuts off, two people for so long, and you get nowhere.
You get in debt. You get in debt. Like, and the debt starts when you're in college. The debt starts when you're in college. See, here's my issue with the Department of Education too, is we've let them get too much control. Because how is it that, here's where I get really defensive of teachers. Like, I'm not against teachers. Don't get it wrong. I'm against with the education that they're pushing through the Department of Education. But overall, in support of the teachers, because I think they're underpaid. They're one of the most crucial jobs that the globe has. You know what I mean? They're underpaid, underappreciated. They're spending money out of their own pockets on a record-breaking basis. I seen it with my own eyes when I worked at the Dollar Tree buying stuff for their classroom. But yet, the superintendents and the teacher union members, they get credit cards.
Right.
So how come they get credit cards? How come they're paying out of pocket?
Yeah, well, I mean, really, it's only your children that they're doing this for. You'd think someone would care, wouldn't you? You really, I mean, who can't fucking recognize that's wrong? It's like this. Did everyone grow up? Right now, see this cat, this little weirdo? Here's what he does, right? I grew up learning cats don't like water. This strange beast is just jumped in this bed sopping wet. He goes out in the rain every time it rains, and then it's like having a wet mop thrown in your bed. I just bring that up because the little weirdo now, I'm drying him with the blanket because he's sopping wet, you know.
Right,
anyway,
right. I mean, and honestly, this is where these groups have lost me at. Like, there's some things, like you said, there's aspects I can agree with, but a lot of it is designed to just cause division and friction. And I'm like, why can't people see that? There's a reason why it's funded by the very people that want to destroy the system as we know it. You know what I mean? So you can't be against anything if you're marching for the people that's funding it.
Tell me if this is not a good idea. With college, make community college free and get rid of welfare. Teach people how to fish instead of just fucking throwing them out there and giving them shit.
I've heard this argument a couple times over, but I've always asked the same thing. Where's the money going to come from?
It's cheaper than putting them on welfare. Get rid of welfare.
I honestly do think that the welfare system, I'm on the mindset of what Tupac had on that one. The welfare system is designed to keep you trapped in it, not to help you get out of it.
Exactly. You do community college and get rid of the welfare system. It's teaching somebody how to do something and go out and make their own fucking money.
Right. Right. And you need to fix that. You need people to be active again. You don't have people active for the right reasons anymore, Cap. You don't have people fighting for unity underneath the grounds of the stuff that we're talking about, which is common sense.
Right.
And neutral ground. Finding neutral ground. That's what we're doing. And that's what the politicians and the celebrities need to be doing. But that's not what
if you're going to do welfare, do it while the person's in college, and then once they get out of college, you're done. You're off. That no longer. You aren't on it for the rest of your fucking life.
There needs to be some kind of check and balance. Like, I'm all for legal cannabis, but I think that if you test dirty for other drugs, other than for medical reasons, you don't get welfare. You know what I mean? Like, I'm supportive of that. But yet, that's one of the things I think can help people get off of welfare, because it's going to make them want to get off of it. How is it that I know people that are state workers, I can't say their names, that are in rough neighborhoods in Tulsa, telling me that these people are getting checks for hundreds of dollars to work initiative programs, and all they do is buy drugs and hustle more. You get what I'm saying? That's where they're trapped within it. It's easier for them. They make more money doing it this way than what they actually would make working at a regular type of job.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? That's where the design for failure comes in and the entrapment. So you have to find a way out of this like a U, like a hill, and we get to this hill and they give up and it flats and it reverts back to that first half of that hill. And the reason why is they can't figure out where the money's going to come from on this side of the hill. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And right now, honestly, we're looking at total deficit problems globally. The UK has admitted that they're going broke. The America is admitting that they're going broke. Why do you think everybody wants to go to war? The UK announced this morning, before I even called you, Mal, this morning, the UK announced today that they want to send fighter jets and bomb Afghanistan. They're pushing for war because war manufactures what? Money.
Yeah, I get it. But it's just so baffling to me that you could even think to say this to a population that's just watched you spend 20 years, achieve absolutely fucking nothing. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. There's been no attacks. But you just pull out in the end. You leave your fucking... It's only $80 billion of your fucking taxpayers' money that they've left behind.
Now, but listen, I just thought of something. When I said all that, Mal, not to cut, sorry for cutting you off.
You're right, you're right.
But when I said all that, understand this. There's accountability for everything. If another country sees you as weaker, it's time to step up and make it a point. Be like, nah, you ain't going to step on us. I don't care who you are. You're going to give us our people, or we're coming in there and we're effing taking them. That's your option. That's what should have happened, and that's not what happened.
Instead of America, and again, I'm not mocking America. Without America, we speak Japanese. I understand Australia.
That's the old America.
Thanks to America. But now you have people looking at America saying, "You're fucking kidding me, aren't you? You've voted in this fucking idiot. Now he's done what? Is it a joke? Are you fucking kidding me?"
It's a shit show.
Right. And honestly, no matter which side it gets in there, like when Trump was in there, they said the same thing. Everybody mocked Trump and said that he was this person. And are you fucking kidding me? You elected him?
Right.
Isn't
that funny?
Like you said, I think the tweeting thing, still, I never liked the fucking man. Never liked him at all. Yet I can see he was good for your well-being.
Right.
It's puzzling to me that people want to shoot themselves in
the same. But how is it that puzzling whenever the same? This is where you can see it's automatic division tactics, because the same people that screaming the loudest about Trump are the same people you can see shaking his hand and hugging up on him before he became president.
Yeah, well,
right.
Yep. You get what I'm saying?
And this is where you can tell that both sides, it's like a one-sided coin. Because remember when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were running against each other? Trump was the biggest asshole. She was the biggest bitch. And Donald Trump has given interviews since then saying, "Oh, Hillary Clinton's one of my best friends, and she ran a great campaign. I've known her for years and years and years."
Well, I figured that
she's a lovely lady.
This is where us as people need to learn. Our system in America is actually lovely, if you truth be told. We can do a lot of things if we all team up together instead of fighting with each other over stupid stuff. You could actually accomplish a lot of things through paperwork. You know what I mean? The problem is they know people are too dumb to realize that and too keen on bickering with each other to accomplish anything. So they're laughing every time that they turn on the news and see us fighting with each other.
Look at how quick the American attitude changed. Do you remember when fucking Trump and Hillary were running? Everyone was saying, these are the two oldest candidates we've ever had. Are they even going to live out there? And then the next minute, 4 years later, you're putting Joe Biden in there, who's fucking how many years older than the pair of them? It's like...
Actually, Biden's only 2 years older than Trump.
Is he? I thought he was 8 years for some reason.
No, I think it's 2.
That's what drugs do to you guys.